I won't invest in any of them kasi I'll buy the individual stocks instead of the ETF also. So tapos I know nothing about kung ano laman nun eh. So gagawin ko, just looking at those names, I would have to research first ano yung mga laman nun, because not knowing kung ano yung laman nun, it's just like putting a dart also.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Leadership Stack Podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs to increase your leadership, teamwork, and profits. This is your host, Sean C., aka Mr. CEO at 22. We have a question from My Rose. Which one would you recommend for a first-time stock investor? Top 5 choices would be there's crypto, commodities, Ethereum, family, energy, technology, real estate. Dami. Para sa'yo ata tong tanong na to eh.
I won't buy any of them. People need to understand this, that in the world of investing, you invest in kung saan ka medyo confident already. And when you're asking that question, it also means that you also need to have more research. And pag sinagot kasi natin yan, gagawin nila, oy, sinabi ni Sean yan, tsaka ni Marvin, ito na yung bilhin natin. Not knowing that maybe based on your certain conviction. Please remember that in the world of investing, when you are starting, it will always be based on your competence. And my suggestion is, if you're looking at all of them, di-investan mo na lahat yan. And then, subukan mo lahat. And then, what works for you, dun mo damihan yung capital. Pero if you're asking me right now if I'm gonna invest in any of them, I won't invest in any of them kasi I'll buy the individual stocks instead of the ETF also. So, tapos I know nothing about kung ano laman nun eh. So, gagawin ko, just looking at those names, I would have to research first ano yung mga laman nun, because not knowing kung ano yung laman nun, it's just like putting a dart also. So, siguro you're knowing na ito yung mga connected na sectors dito, pero alamin ko kasi kung ano yung hawak nila. Like, let me give an example. I made a video on TikTok a few days ago about G-Invest. G-Invest has a global portfolio. So, meron silang consumer, meron silang naka-separate. Meron doon, titignan ko talaga ano laman nun. So, nakita ko, laman nun Samsung, laman nun Apple, laman nun Microsoft. Okay to. So, it's not just about knowing the names of the fund, but it's knowing about yung laman nung nasa fund na yun. Because knowing kung ano yung laman sa fund na yun, in my opinion, kailangan mo pa rin aralin kung okay ba siya, dun mo gusto mag-invest also altogether. Pero if the question is ano yung pwede kung nagsisimula, try everything. Kaya nga ngayon I consider myself, syempre I started 2018 sa Bitcoin, no, pero I think I'm very new still. So lahat ng possible na pwedeng subukan, pwedeng gawin sa cryptocurrency space, I try to do it. So okay lang sa akin magkamali, okay lang sa akin malugi, okay lang kahit mag-underperform siya, because my goal is to learn eh. So if I learn it, tapos by the time 2, 3, 4 years down the line, I get better at it also, that's when I will reap the benefits of it. Pero kung kumita ako in 2 months, in 3 months, bonus na lang sa akin yun. Kung kumita ako this week, bonus na lang sa akin. But that's not my chief motivation on doing it. So, kasi when you start practicing it and when you start trying it, dun mo ma-figure out, ito dapat yung fund na dapat dinadamihan ko. That's when the competence also starts to build in. I'll give you perspective. Madami, tumatalon from no background in investing, they go straight to the cryptocurrency market, which is not wrong naman. Ako naman, my background is really a stock market trader entering the cryptocurrency market, which is also not wrong also. The way I'm analyzing things is I'm using yung background ko also sa stock market, and yung mga natutunan ko na dapat di ako bibili ng mga bagay na hindi ko alam, yung mga dapat bibilin ko based on something that at least may fundamentals also. Pero in a way, pag trade mo na kasi siya, at chart in the US market, in the Philippine market, and in a crypto market, almost looks the same eh. So, with the difference lang na mas may volume and volatility sa crypto market, but the same tools that you have, MACD, moving average, candlesticks, support and resistance, analyzing the trend, are pretty much still there eh. So, dala-dala ko siya. And pag may bumabagsak na mga cryptocurrencies, parang it's not something that I'm scared of. It's not something that rattles me, because I've built that experience also through the years. So I think that's one thing that in terms of an edge I've built through the years kasi nakuha ko yung how do I get past the volatility.
Just want to ask both of you on what's your worst money mistake that you wish you have not committed. Before I studied stocks under Marvin's Stock Smarts, I was just blindly investing. And I had no idea what technical investing was. I thought that fundamental investing is good enough because, like if it's a good company, it's going to go up, right? And unfortunately, here in the Philippine scene, medyo matagal talaga. Like we're looking at 5 years or more, which I was younger during those days. So I wanted some more growth on a shorter amount of time. Even if it took more risk, it was all right with me. Also, I made stupid investments on stocks that were not really extremely sound. They're not blue chip companies. And hindi ko alam eh. Like, I think the mistake stems from ignorance and not really investing in the knowledge of how do I make winning investments? How do I make winning trades? Those two things, literally, I learned from the Stock Smarts workshop that Marvin did in a hotel in Makati. So, that's for me.
I don't regret mistakes. Siyempre masakit yung mistake no na you wish that hindi dapat siya nangyari. Pero when you go back at that mistake 5, 10 years after, you realize that kaya mas magaling ka as a business person, as an investor, mas naging successful ka dahil sa pagkakamali na yun eh. Because it either forced you to get better, it forced you na galingan mo dun sa craft mo, and you will realize na kunyari, nagkamali ka, nawalan ka ng pera, you will say to yourself, ayoko na itong mangyari sa akin ever again. That's why you start going into it. So, syempre, hindsight, you don't want to make the mistakes because masakit. But people need to realize that we're not supposed to be scared of committing mistakes because the more you stop being scared of playing a perfect game, the better you will become also as an investor because that's what will make you better later on. So, there.
From Mitch, how does your religious belief influence your investment decisions and the way you handle money? So I'm a born again Christian, so is Marvin. And for me, at least, I can speak for myself first. There's a lot of verses in the Bible about how to handle money. In fact, the Bible talks about money more than it talks about heaven and hell in terms of the number of times sa verses. And God knows kasi that we're gonna be dealing with money a lot in our life eh. With the book of Proverbs pa lang, ang dami mo nang matututunan doon about how not to be subject to the lender, don't be in debt, don't put up security for a stranger, meaning wag mong igagaranti pag di mo masyado kilala. Actually, ngayon, minsan, sinasabi na ako, may guarantee kahit kapamilya mo eh, or relative mo eh, or mahirap magpautang ngayon. So, there's a lot of wisdom actually in the Bible about money. And even if you just study the book of Proverbs, you'll be already well on your way to becoming good in your personal finance at least. Another thing would be for me is to be generous with people who are in need. So when I see that there's someone really, who is in dire need of help and I know them, or minsan even if they're acquainted with me, they need help, I pray about giving to them. Some people naman would ask if they can lend money. And usually I pray, talk to my wife, if we can just give instead of lending. Often it's not the amount that they want, but at least they don't need to pay it back. And saves them the, mas nag-aalala pa sila if they need to pay it back. Mas mag-aalala din kami. So, I guess it does influence the way I handle my money by a lot. If you want to learn also how you can handle money in a way that I do, the book of Proverbs would be a really good start to read. It's not long as well. It's not a long read.
When you look at the Bible, you will see a lot of verses there also that are very, very practical, that are woven into kung ano naman din talaga yung ginagawa natin. So, ganun din. For example, look at verses in the Bible about Joseph na when there was times of plenty, he was already preparing for times of lack. Sabi rin sa Bible, go to the ant, you sluggard, meaning it's telling you also to work hard. So there are a lot of things that we see as personal, practical financial advice which are interwoven also on mga practical na lessons also that you can get from the Bible. So if you do a deep dive on it, you will see that yung mga nadinig ko kay Shansi about not being in debt or not being too leveraged or not doing this and that and that and that, nasa Bible din siya halos lahat. So, yun.
Okay, and since you're here, can you do me a favor? Can you hit on the subscribe button and hit the bell button and select all notifications so that whenever we have a new video, you're going to be the first one to know. Until then, keep leading.
For the most of my career, I try to do everything myself. And we all have the same amount of time during the day. And we can only do so much time out of the day. And when people tell you that you need to live a balanced life, you will never have a balanced life. We can strive for it, but we'll never have or achieve true balance in life.